I'm just going to quickly repeat what I said a few minutes ago, because we've had some more people join us. If you haven't already registered, we do have the link up on the screen. So if you would like to gain access to the course after this kickoff session, please follow this link that's on the screen or in the chat, and then you'll be taken to the platform and you'll be able to register for the event and gain access to the course after the kickoff session. Right. So the agenda for today's kickoff session will start off with a personal introduction from me and our guest speakers for today. And then we will be telling you a bit more about the DevSecOps Academy, this event's timeline, and then we will get to the main topic of today, dynamic application security testing. Then we'll have an introduction to the course and a quick wrap up. We'll also have some questions along the way. So please, if you think of any, you can always add them into the chat and we'll answer them then. So who are we? Well, we're very happy to welcome two of our fellows today who created this the course that you'll be gaining access to on dynamic application security testing. They're both from Beagle Security, so they will personally introduce themselves. And our first speaker is AB. So AB, I'll hand the floor to you.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Abby, and I lead product marketing at Beagle Security. And I'm very glad to be here today with every one of you. Yeah, and look forward to an amazing session together. Thank you.
Great, thanks, AB. And our second speaker is also from Beagle Security, and we're also very happy to have him here, Anis.
Yeah, thank you for welcoming me to the session. Hi everyone, myself Anis PK. I work with Beagle Security as security engineer, and also I'm a DevSecOps in the CSS. I'm also a board member of the open source OWASP Kerala chapter. So that's all about me. Looking forward to the event. Let's get about it. Okay.
Great, thanks, Anis. Yes, my name is Inge. I'm a DevSecOps advocate here at the DevSecOps Academy. I help to create the courses, and I also help to manage the fellowship program. So the DevSecOps Academy is a Dutch startup based here in the Netherlands. So probably quite a few of you have had some experience. Know that we're an online platform with browser-based hands-on lab, but if you haven't had a chance to try one of our labs already, you'll soon have the chance after this course. Our aim is to become the #1 in DevSecOps practical training. And now we really want to put an emphasis here on practical, because as you will see, our course format is short courses because we really want to deliver bite-sized training. And we try to teach you with the minimum amount of theory to get you started applying concepts and tools in the hands-on lab, as we have more emphasis on learning through doing. And that's why our main focus is on the hands-on labs. And the nice thing about our courses is that we have courses from experts all over the world, like AB and Anis, like AB and Anis, who have helped to create this course. And you'll be finding more about that in a moment. And here in the office, we're an international team. If you're interested in finding out more about us, or you would like to work in DevSecOps, we do have always space for great people. So we have a link also here on the bottom right corner if you're interested in checking, finding out more about that. Right, our timeline for this event is 72 hours. So today we're having the kickoff and we'll be introducing you to DAST and to the course itself, and also allowing you to ask your questions. Then we'll be having the wrap up on the 8th of July. at 4 o'clock Central European time. There we will be discussing your feedback. And as always, we're really happy to get any feedback on the course and on the platform so that we can improve it and create the best product we can. And also this week we do have a special offer. So for those people who do come to the wrap up, we're offering a 20% lifetime discount on Beagle security subscriptions. So if you come to the wrap up, then you'll gain access to this. So please do join us. It's always a nice conversation. Right. So here on the screen, you can see the DevOps loop with the DevSecOps categories that we focus on teaching here in the Academy. So this week's course does fall into the category of dynamic application security testing. But what is that exactly? So AB will be telling us a bit more about what is DAST. And we can't wait to hear more about that. Thanks, AB.
Yeah, thanks, Inge. So I think we can get started. So I'd like to start off by giving you an introduction to DAST, or Dynamic Application Security Testing. So if you're not familiar with the concept of DAST, it is a process of black box testing. So in it, the application, the running application is actively investigated with penetration tests to detect potential security vulnerabilities in it. So it's like having an ethical hacker on your side that does all of this process in an automated manner. So I think the best way to explain this is with an example. So if we look at a bank, banks usually have the best security in place, and they would have multiple security measures, like they would have security cameras, security personnel, and there will be different layers of security. But they would still need an outsider to tell them what the security would look like. So consider a bank hires a specialist, and the job of this specialist is to help the bank identify what all will be the loopholes present in their security system. So in the process of DAST, the use of a DAST tool is to do something similar. The DAST tool is tasked with the force of finding the loopholes in a web application. So usually the DAST tool will not have any kind of information about the application that is under consideration. So the advantages of adopting a dynamic application security testing process is that, number one, you can find vulnerabilities earlier in your development lifecycle, and thereby improving the efficiency of your process. And this in turn lowers the security risk, and also it helps you to reduce costs and avoid time lost in fixing critical issues. The problem is, once your web application has gone live, it makes it all the more difficult to address security issues, because number one, there can be downtime arising because of it. And number two, if there are issues and the hacker uh, breaches your application security in some way, that leads to a lot of cost in terms of fines, in terms of giving the customers the breach cost, etc. So that is an overview of DAST. And coming down to the benefits of DAST, Inge, can you change over the slides? Yeah, thank you. So coming down to the benefits of DAST, the number one thing is that in DAST, the approach is an outside-in approach. So it's basically similar to how an attacker would try to get into your application. So just like how a malicious user or malicious attacker would try to hack an application, a DAST tool is able to replicate or simulate this exact behavior to give you an idea of all the loopholes that's present in your application, and also give you recommendations on how you can fix it. So number one, this happens just like our hacker would do it. Number two is that it is completely programming language, platform, framework agnostic. That means that whatever language or framework or technology your application is using, you will be able to perform dynamic application security testing on it. So number three, it can check for a wide range of vulnerabilities. So if you were to handle this manually, it would take a lot of time, and the process can be very tedious. So when you do it in an automated manner, the process can speed up. And also what we can do is that all the input, output, validation issues and everything can be checked for during this process. And next up is that the tool does not need any sort of access to the source code. So if we take, for example, static analysis, the tool needs access to the source code. But when it comes to DAST, the tool does not need any sort of access to your source code. So all of this happens just like how an attacker would try to hack, because just like an attacker would have no knowledge about the application, the tool will simulate the exact same behavior to help you identify the vulnerabilities. And finally, you can integrate this process in your development lifecycle. So the benefit is that the earlier you address security, the less complicated and the more cost effective it is to address these security issues. So that is the main benefits of DAST. And next up, Anis will be giving you a bit more idea about why DAST is important.
Yeah, thank you Abhi, for describing what is test and how we can, what is the benefits of it. So now we are coming to the part why DAST is important. So there are 4 points I have noted down here. So first one is, you can see, catch the vulnerabilities before deploying an application to the public. Like Abby said, once the application is released to the public, it's there in the public, right? So live users are using it, and users are doing operations and storing data. Everything, whatever application is intended to do, it is live, and it is out in the public. So if we didn't check for the vulnerability assessment, like we can say penetration testing and all, there can be a lot of open vulnerabilities in the wild. So, and sophisticated attacker can make use of the vulnerabilities and leverage them to compromise our application. So if someone do that, it's very what we can say, it's very uh, it can cause reputation loss for the firm, and data loss, and so many dangerous things. So it is better if we do it in the software development phase and before going to live. So if you can if we can assess the application before going live, it is always better, because once it's gone to the public, it's always a pain. Mm, yeah. So the second uh, point is related to the first one. The sooner the vulnerability is caught during the SDLC, software development life cycle, the less expensive it is to be fixed. Like it is said. So if we can catch it in the software development life cycle itself, it is very easy to fix it. So once it's gone live and then we are finding it, then it will be very expensive, because we need downtime, we need to acknowledge the clients, and if someone has already leveraged it to compromise our data, it is it's a matter of reputation and image of our firm, right? So it is always better to catch vulnerabilities during the SDLC phase itself. So coming down to the third point, it brings to light the risks that occur because of the complexity of interplay uh, of modern frameworks, microservices, APIs, and the like. So simply it means that when we develop an application, there will be so many components. Like if we say we are developing application in microservice architecture, each service does its part, and it will be all interconnected, right? So while we test it internally, we will be only testing the single microservice part. We don't know what actually happens when it all interconnected. Like when it comes to an interconnected microservice architecture, there might be some vulnerabilities we can find. So while we testing it in service by service, we may not be able to find the vulnerability, but when it comes to play with the other services, there might be a chance to arise vulnerabilities. So that's what that point means. Then the last point and the most important point, make security concerns a priority and elevates your DevOps process to a DevSecOps process. So we all know DevOps is in integrating the developers to the operations. So deployment and all things are making automated and things. So to make it secure, we need to implement some implements DAST, secure practices to the DevOps pipeline itself. Then only the DevOps process changes to a DevSecOps process. So these are the why DAST is important part. So this always like we need to catch the vulnerabilities before going to live, and uh, uh, maximum vulnerabilities we need to fix in the software development lifecycle itself. In that manner, we can create a more secure application itself. So that's it about the why this task important. Okay, you can continue.
Right. Thanks, Anis. Right. So we've come to the question. We have a time now for questions. I saw that we have one question in the chat. If anyone else has any questions, you can please add them to the chat now. But maybe Anis or Ebi, you would like to answer it. So Idika asked, says that we do similar security measures through SAST. How does SAST differ from DAST?
Yeah. SAST and DAST are two different things, which are both are used in our software lifecycle development phases. So SAST is more like a white box thing. So it's mostly contains of static code analysis, code level vulnerability checking, where DAST is very different in a way that that DAST is actually a black box testing, which doesn't know about what the application is, which doesn't know what the code relates behind it. Also, it doesn't know in which language it is developed in and which environment it is working on. So there are so many things DAST doesn't know. When we conducting a SAST type assessment, it knows everything all. So it knows which application is this. It knows the test cases. It knows the environment and the languages. In languages, we can say so what to check for in that particular language. So it's most like a white box thing, and when coming to the DAST, it's more like a black box thing. And DAST is mostly it is technology independent, and we can say so it's technology independent and it can be performed in any other applications. So yeah, that's very much about it.
Great. Thanks, Anis. I think that's a really good answer. We do have a few more questions. One or two might be beyond the scope. So we have from Ashish, could you please show the configuration in Jenkins file for DAST? So yeah, this might be a bit beyond the scope of today's. We can always send you relevant resources, but we're not going to be dealing with files now. I don't know, do you want to give some insight into that? But otherwise, maybe we can just.
Actually, it depends on which tool you would like to use, and or it's not actually a general question. Some are specific.
Yeah. We can always send you the Beagle security configuration for Jenkins. Okay, Gaurav has a question. With DAST, how do we deal with false positives in the pipeline? That's a good question.
Yeah. False positive can arise from a test. So in DAST, actually, false positive rate is pretty low, right? So if something we might need to acknowledge them, right? First. Mostly DAST is
Yeah, so I can explain that from our perspective. So in the case of Beagle Security, what we have is that we have an AI module, so that the results go through multiple levels of verification, and after the test is over, we try to cut down the false positives uh, to a bare minimum. So we have multiple verification processes that helps in cutting down that false positive rate.
Okay, great. Thanks, AB. Then we have another question from THN21. Which industries would you find DAST or SAST implemented in?
So in the case of DAST, especially, we see it especially useful for SaaS companies who have very fast release cycles, and they usually make changes to their code or to their platform on a regular basis. So these companies usually find great benefits by integrating security testing into their pipeline.
Thanks, Abby. We have another question from Ali. He says, in Dust we run scan on the running code, but in SAST we just run. Okay, sorry, this is just a comment. We have a question from Sento. He asked, how do we implement Dust in the SDLC?
So our hands-on lab is all about that. I think once you get started with that, uh, you'll have a better idea about it.
Yes, we all have to do the course then, right? Okay, thanks. Idika asks, how does Dust work underneath? Does it intercept API calls and prevent cross-site scripting, etc.? Or rather, it tries to perform cross-site scripting.
Yeah, that's actually works how a hacker do things to our website. So it intercepts API calls, it injects payloads, and it will look for if your web application have multiple text fields or unsanitary set text field, it will inject XSS payloads. And everything we can check for. So that tool will actually try for everything it can find. So yeah, it can intercept and not preventing, it can find if a cross-site scripting um, is, uh, is it vulnerable to cross-site scripting. Yeah, so we can update the code to prevent the vulnerability.
Great. And we have another question from MD. He says that in one of your slides, you mentioned that Dust is for the build phase, but as per my experience, it is best fit in the testing phase pipeline, as you need a running instance of the application.
Yeah, the build phase, we meant actually that before going live. So we need we have a pipeline like committing the code, building the application, and deploying to the staging or dev environment, right? So just after that, we start the DAST tool. That's how it works. So by the development phase, we meant that, and not actually in like a SaaS works, right, Abby? Okay.
Yeah, correct.
Great, thanks. Right, and our next question. Thanks for all the questions, everyone. Which tools other than Zap can we use for Dust in our pipeline?
So there are a number of open source tools like Wapiti, Vascan, something like that. So I don't think that is readily integratable like Zap. So we might need to update the code ourselves to integrate them. There are a number of tools here we have openly available in internet. Yeah.
Uh, I can answer that. So OWASP has a list of all the scanning tools. They have a page available publicly that lists all the commercial free as well as open source tools available for DAST.
Yes. Thanks, AB and Nis. So in your in your course, you'll be getting another list of open source and also enterprise tools, and you'll also be working with another DAST tool, Beagle Security, as well. So you'll find out more about that in the course afterwards. Right. So we also have a question from Amrut. Does DAST process impact? We have a long. Oh. Okay, we've muted that. Sorry, everyone. Yes, so I will repeat the question again. Does the DAST process impact code simplicity? This is from Amrut.
Actually, I didn't understand the question really well. But code simplicity in the sense.
Sorry, Anis, can you repeat that again?
I don't. I cannot understand the question. The gist of the
Yeah,
question actually.
maybe Amrut, do you want to, if you want to clarify that
elaborate
question? Well, if Amrut, if you can clarify that in the meantime, then we will move on to the next question. So does DAST identify and classify critical or major vulnerabilities?
Yes, it will. It actually, the reporting section is actually depends on the tool, which tool you use. So it depends on the tool. Most of them maybe map it to OWASP top 10.
Yeah, all right. And then Varun asks, can't DAST be white box?
It can be gray box actually. In some tools, we can actually give permission to login and if an application have a login mechanism or scan behind login, something like that. So sometimes can make use of logins and perform login and perform security testing after the login page. So it can be gray box. Yeah. For white box, we have SAST, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's led to another question. What's the difference between gray box and white box?
In gray box, the code is not visible, and some part of the application has given us input, like which platform it uses, which environment it works on, and which say if it is a WordPress site, it can be also given as an input. So in that case, we only need to check for WordPress related something. Or we might have to look for WordPress related vulnerabilities, right? So something like that is called a gray box. In white box, everything is disclosable to the tester.
All right, great. Thanks, Anis, and thanks, Abby. We're going to carry on now. We'll have another chance for questions at the end.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks. Okay. So in the course itself, that's for your web application, you will be getting 6 exercises. It's mainly it will be in 2 parts. So for the first 3 exercising, you'll just be configuring your application, well, your test itself in order to run it. And in the second part, you'll be running the test, analyzing the test results, and then validating the fixes that you will implement. So for configuring your test, you will firstly deploy your web application from your CI/CD pipeline, and then you will verify your domain. So you'll need to verify the domain with Beagle Security, because like Anis was saying, you will be acting like a hacker, or the test will be acting like a hacker, and you don't want to just hack any website, do you? So they want to make sure that you're authorized to perform DAST on your specific application. So that's what you'll be doing. And then via Beagle Security, you'll be generating secret tokens to trigger the test from your CI/CD pipeline. And then these secret tokens from Beagle Security, you will save as environment variables on GitLab. Right, when you've done configuring your test, then you will trigger the test to run from your automated pipeline. And then you will analyze the vulnerability report from Beagle Security. And then it will be up to you to fix these critical vulnerabilities. Finally, you will validate your fixes by running the pipeline again, and then this will trigger the test. And you'll be able to analyze the second set of test results and see if you have indeed fixed your application. So I hope this screen looks familiar to everyone. Now I'm going to be just showing you how to navigate the platform quickly. So we'll just stop the presentation. And now we're on the platform. Right, so from here, if you have not already registered, on the right-hand corner, you can click register. And then this will make sure that you will get access to the course at the end. From the screen, you can navigate to courses, and then you can search for the course itself. Oh. DAST. And then it'll pop up in the screen. Excuse the annotations. I see some people wanted to make notes. Here you'll see that you'll have access to the preparation lab and the hands-on lab. So in the preparation lab, you will be taught a number of key concepts. As we said in the beginning, we really just want to give you the minimum amount of theory to get you started actually using these tools, because we really want to give you a hands-on learning experience. So we're just going to cover the concepts. For example, what is the scanner that you will be using, Beagle Security, and how is it applied? So these basic concepts we will be dealing with in the preparation lab. And then you'll also see in set up your local environment, it will tell you how to actually set up these tools in your local machine. And here we also tell you a bit more about your account on Beagle Security. So you're going to get 2 free tests with this course that you will need to run your DAST. But afterwards, after 1 month, your account will turn automatically into a free account. So you don't have to stop using the Beagle Security account. You can continue using it, and you will get 1 free test a month on their website. And as I said, like, you will also have this 20% off if you come to the wrap-up session. And so if you want to have a paid subscription, you can upgrade to the paid subscription and get 20% off on it. So at the end of your prep lab, you will see that you have an option to either to take the quiz or to carry on to the hands-on lab. So firstly, if you go to the quiz, you will see that you'll get 4 attempts. So we won't be able to give you more than 4 attempts. So do try to do it properly and pass on the first or second attempt. And you can always go back to the prep lab and look at the information, because the quiz is just there to try and prepare you for the hands-on lab. So you can consult outside resources. And then when you've done with the quiz, you can carry on to the hands-on lab, and you'll have the option of choosing to do it in the advanced level or in the meteor level. They're both exactly the same. You'll just gain access, or you'll be able to take more hints. But you'll also automatically just drop down to meteor. So start in the advanced and see if you can complete it without looking at any hints. So I've actually beforehand created the lab to show you. When you do choose to spin up the lab, you will get a warning that tells you only get 180 minutes to complete the hands-on lab. So make sure that you can sit down for those 3 hours. We are a bit lenient during the events, so you can write to support and ask for a bit more time if you need it. But most people, they finish it they will finish in 1 or 2 hours, but it all depends on how much previous knowledge you have, of course. So you might need more or less time. So if we click start, you'll see that we already have the hands-on lab and the resources created for us. Usually it takes about 5 to 10 minutes, or can vary from lab to lab. So you can launch, if you click on this, it will launch your resources. You'll see we have an instance of GitLab, and here we have the files that we will be working with in your application. Once you've run the pipeline one time, you'll be able to launch your application, because then it has been deployed. So as we said, there are 6 exercises. Here on the left, you will see that in every step we have an exercise. And as you go from step to step, you will see that you'll get this automated check on the left-hand side. Once you have completed a step correctly and go to the next step, then you'll get this check mark. Like a lot of the steps, you might just need to read it. So then it's pretty easy to go to the next step. But for those steps that you do need to complete an assignment, then you'll get a warning that says our automated checking indicates you might not have completed the previous step. So then just go back, make sure that you've done everything correctly. There are some cases where you might have a correct answer, but our automated checking doesn't pick it up. So you can always click on the support button, and we have the option, you have the option to submit a comment about the automated checking. We do have a number of frequently asked questions that our chatbot will lead you through, but if there is still not an answer for you that helps you with your situation, then we will connect you to one of our support team. But we also, before you chat to the support team, oh, I won't go on to that because you also see the hint, but we do have these little boxes that offer you hints and tips on how to complete the assignment. So you can just click on it. Like for example here, do you need a hint on how to patch up the cross-site scripting vulnerability? But do keep in mind, and you'll also see on the top right-hand corner what level you are on. If you take more than 1 or 2 hints, then you'll drop to the meteor level. So if you would like your certificate in an advanced level, then try to solve it without the hints. And in the top right-hand corner, you will also see how much time you have left. So right now I have 1 hour left, but as I said, we will be lenient with you. So if you need some more time, you can also contact our support team and we can give you some more time, but don't take a break and go shopping or try to finish it in one go. Also, once you've finished all your assignments, you'll see that there is a survey, and this is also why we have these events. We would really like to get your feedback, so please do fill in the survey and tell us what you would like us to improve, and also what you liked, what you didn't like about the platform, and also about the course itself. And of course, so that's the platform itself. We'll go back to the presentation, because of course, at the end of the hands-on lab, we do have a practitioner certificate. So if you complete the hands-on lab and you pass the checking, then you will be issued the certification. So if you don't, once you click, there will be an option to click check results at the end of the hands-on lab. If you don't pass the automated checking and get awarded the certificate immediately, one of our team members will check your lab in the next day and we'll get back to you whether you have passed or not. Yeah, so it can vary in the feedback times. Yes, and on this certificate, you will see that it will tell you what your lab was in. So here we can see that it was issued for DAST for your web application. Right.
I'd like pin.
So now we have a chance for a few more questions. If we will be looking at the chat as well to see if anyone has any more questions. Right, we do have one from MD that asks if we need to, oh, this was direct message. Sorry, MD, if I'm reading it out. But he asked if we need to purchase this course to continue with the hands-on lab. I think more people would also be interested in this question, so no. So as part of these events, we offer the course for free because we really like to get your feedback on what we can improve and what you do like about these courses. So we would appreciate if you also come to the wrap-up session or fill in the survey. But yeah, thanks for your question, MD. Do we have any more questions? Just keep an eye on. Right. So I think if there are no more questions, I will just put the link for registering once more up on the board. Please do register there, and then we'll be giving you access right after this wrap up, right after this kickoff session to these courses. And then you'll have access until Thursday to complete the courses. And if you're wondering why you're seeing purchase now, this is another question that I've gotten. You don't have access yet, so you'll be getting access in the next half an hour. So don't worry about it, just check up on it in half an hour, and you'll also get a notification and an email that says that you now have access. All right, Hans, maybe I can ask you to send the link once more in the chat for registering. And then we can share it with you. I'll send the link. Can I send the link? 1 second. Right. Right, I'm putting the link for the registration in the chat. So if you go to this link, then you can register there. Right, everyone, thanks so much for joining. I think that's all from us. Thanks again, Anis and Abby, for joining. It was really great to have you here. And I hope to see you all in the wrap-up session, and Anis and Abby will be there again. So do please join us. We'd love to see you there. All right, great.
Yeah,
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for making this happen. Thanks, indeed.
Thanks. Thanks, Avi. Thanks, Anis.
Yeah, thanks everyone for attending.